In Chapter 7, we're going to look at how to solve triangles in different ways. These don't necessarily have to be right triangles. We're going to use things like Law of Cosines, Law of Sines, and different area formulas that you haven't seen before. But ultimately, we're solving triangle issues. So let's first look at Law of Cosines. These are some equations that will be provided for you. You're not anything you need to memorize. So you notice that there's two kinds. There's the standard form right here. Looks like this. So side A, B, and C. Lowercase are your sides, capital letters are your angles. So this is how I would find side A. This is how I would find side B. And obviously I would have to take the square root to be completely done. And this one for side C. So that works for sides. And then the alternative form is this whole thing solved for cosine of whatever angle. So to find the cosine of A, I would do this operation. And notice it's cosine, so if I want A, I would need to do inverse cosine to finish the equation to find that angle. So just keep this in mind. It's not something you have to memorize. Again, the standard form is going to help us solve for sides. The alternative is for angles, which you can see in the equation. All right, so I'm just going to run through a couple examples. So let's look at number 1. It says use law of cosines to solve for the triangle. So I've just drawn a triangle. Capital letters are my angles. And I'm going to put in there what they told me. Okay, they told me little a is 10. That means the side opposite angle A is 10. Side opposite angle C is 15. And B is 20 degrees. Okay? That gives me enough to solve my triangle. So what do I need to solve for ultimately? Well, I'm going to have to find angle A. I'm going to have to find angle C. And I'm going to have to find side B to be completely done. All right? So I need to, if you look at your formulas, to find an angle, you need all three sides, right? You need to know little a, little b, and little c. So I can't solve for an angle first. I have to solve for a side first. So I'm going to solve for side b first. Let's do that. So I need to use this equation. B squared equals a squared plus c squared minus 2ac cosine of b. All right, so all I'm going to do is plug in my numbers. So it's going to be 10 squared plus 15 squared minus, now in the calculator, I would be careful, put parentheses there, times 10 times 15, you can put times between this, times the cosine of angle 20. All right, this is how I would enter it in my calculator. When I do that, I get 43.092, on and on and on. But remember, that's b squared, so I need to take the square root, and although it could be plus or minus, the side length is always positive, so if I take the square root of that, I get 6.564, so I'll just take it to 3 decimals. So that is my missing side, all right? So I can plug this in, 6.564. Now I can use that to find my angle. Which angle do we want to find first? It doesn't really matter. I'm going to solve for angle A. So I'm going to do cosine of A is going to equal, following my formula, so I know that that's 6.564. I'm going to plug in what I know. So little b squared plus little c squared minus little a squared. So this is my work that I show. 2 times b times c. Oh, no, that's not c. 15 is c, sorry. All right, when I do all this, I get a decimal of 0.8536. Now remember, this is the cosine of A. So in order to find A, I need to do the inverse cosine. So A is going to equal the inverse cosine of that decimal value. And you can do all this in your calculator. And I get an angle value of 31.394. This is A, 31.394 degrees. Now, then to find angle C, you don't have to use one of the formulas, you just use what we know about triangles, okay? It's going to be 180 minus the angles we know, 31.394 minus the given angle of 20, And that gives me an angle of 128.599. So that's my missing angle, angle C. So remember, put your degree marks. Once you've solved the triangle, you are done, but you're just using those formulas that are given. Let's try number 2. This one, if you notice, all I'm given are sides. So I don't necessarily have to draw a triangle. All I'm giving are sides, so I have to start with angles. So I know I'm going to be done when I've found angle A, B, and C. Doesn't matter where I start, honestly. So I'm just going to draw myself a little line here. I'm going to start with cosine of A. All right, if I plug in the numbers based on my formulas, A is going to be B squared plus C squared minus A squared all over 2 times 15 times 21. All right? When I work that in my calculator, I get that decimal value, right? And then I do inverse cosine of the answer. So this is what it looks like in my calculator, whatever that gives me. And that will give me an angle of 30.108 degrees. So try it in your calculator, see if you end up with the same angle, 30.108 degrees. All right, so now I'm going to do angle B, cosine B. Plug in my numbers. So A squared plus C squared minus B squared all over 2 times 11 times 21. All right, then I get my answer in my calculator. I'm going to do inverse cosine of that answer. And when I do that, I get 43.161 degrees. So there's my second missing angle. And then lastly, to find that third angle, I'm just going to use my properties of a triangle. Sorry. So 180 minus the known angles I just found. And when I get that, I find out the angle C is 106.731 degrees. And I've solved my triangle. All right, so these formulas are pretty handy, help you find those triangle values. Now, let's look at an area formula. This is a formula called Heron's formula. And it is an area formula you did not learn in algebra or in geometry, but it's very handy. It works for any triangle, right triangle, oblique triangle, scaling triangle, whatever kind of triangle. So it says this, given any triangle with the side lengths of A, B, and C, so if you just know the sides, you can find the area using this formula. All right, there it is. Well, then you're like, well, I know what A, B, and C are, but what is S? Well, S is this value right here. You add up the 3 sides, divide by 2. And we call that the semi-perimeter. All right, nothing fancy there. It's just the semi-perimeter. And we then plug it in the equation and we're done. All right, so let's try this out. So we first have to find the semi-perimeter, right? So S is going to be 2.4 plus 2.75 plus 2.25. So add them up, then divide by 2. Don't divide by 3. It's not an average. So divide by 2. And when I do that, I get 3.7. And then I show my work for the area equation. All right, I plug in S, 3.7. And then it's 3.7 minus that first side. So 2.4. 3.7 minus 2.75, 3.7 minus 2.25, all right? Multiply all those out, and then don't forget to take the square root. When you do, I get an area of 2.574. All right? That's how the area formula works. Pretty simple. Given 3 sides, you can find the area of any triangle. All right, good luck. We'll see you in class.